Hey guys, how are you? So bear with me as I talk about love or infatuation. I'm really happy to have you guys tune in for this. I know it's something that we've all been there. I've been there a million times. Hey girl! Hey everyone who's tuning in. Tell me where you're from. Tell me what's going on this Thursday. I'm so happy to have you guys. Hey, oh, thank you, girl. I'm so happy to have you guys. So, I try not to waste a lot of time. Usually this doesn't go more than 15 to 20 minutes. And just really to touch base with you guys, I'm starting a whole new series. I have this new product coming out, which I'm really souped about next year. It's called Upgrade You University, and it's going to be all about upgrading yourself and doing well in a relationship and post breakup and all that stuff that I have definitely been there, so I figured why not teach it. And just a little bit about my background, because I know a lot of people know me from the health and fitness space, and also like spiritual insight and all that. My day-to-day job, I'm a principal of a school, and on top of being an administrator of teachers, I also work a lot with families. So I'm constantly in the social work realm, which has been really, really interesting because I've had to apply a lot of what I was doing with my blogging to my day-to-day life and just dealing with families, different situations on, love and relationships and children. And so I figured with Upgrade You, I would merge the two and really try to develop a product that brought my day-to-day life with my dream job of blogging. So that's kind of where it came from. I know for people who've been following me for a while, it's kind of like a left curve, like, where is she talking about all this relationship from? How does she know what she's even saying? So that's basically it, guys. So let's jump right in. How do you know if you have love or infatuation? And like I said, I've been there before. A lot of times when I thought I was in love, it wasn't until I looked back at the situation and looked at how things went down, and I realized that I wasn't actually in love. I think that when we're growing up, we have a lot of images in the media and even now of what love looks like. So a lot of times it's like, okay, how romantic is he? How much does he take me out? How thoughtful are his dates? How much does he text me? All these kind of surface things that we think about, and I talked about in my article this week. It's almost like a me complex. So we look for that warm and fuzzy feeling. We're looking for, hey, am I getting butterflies when he calls? Am I feeling great on all these outings that we're going on? How am I feeling? And I think a lot of times when it comes to that, we get so addicted to that warm and fuzzy feeling that we forget what true love looks like as far as sacrifice and being able to meet someone and know someone for who they are and not for who we try to shape them to be. And so one of the main things that you can point out when you're trying to determine whether you have love or infatuation is if you're just focusing on the warm and fuzzy feeling. If the whole relationship is based on how do I feel, how good are the dates, how many times does he bring me flowers, how much superficial things are involved in it, while those things are not inherently bad, if that's just the crux of the relationship, then a lot of times you probably are infatuated with that person because it's so inward focused, it's so focused on me. The next thing is when you focus on me, you're constantly looking for instant gratification. And so that's one of the other areas of being infatuated that I don't think we always think of, because when you're just so inward, and you can even look at the other person and like screen them and determine, hey, is this other person doing it to me? They want everything now. Like you'll get pushback if you can't be somewhere that person needs you to be, or you're not available, or you can't do this or you can't do that. And that pushback a lot of times is usually a sign that it is infatuation, especially in the beginning, and especially if you're experiencing the other signs of it just being a surface relationship, it just being based on the warm and fuzzy feelings. That's all that there is. And so it's really important. I know a lot of times in my experience, like I'm a loveaholic, guys. Like Erykah Badu has that song, Oh my god, I can't think of it right now. But she talks about being addicted to love. That was so me. Like, I loved all the love songs. I'd have them on constant replay. I knew all the lines to the movies. I was always pressuring my boyfriends to like give me flowers and to just do all this superficial stuff. And it wasn't until it was over that I realized that I was so fixated on my own instant gratification that I didn't actually love that person. I loved the feeling that they gave me. I loved love, but I didn't love that person. And that's why I say it's so important to not only screen your own heart and say, hey, am I just fixated on this person for how they make me feel? But screen the other person, because before you put your heart out there and you let them into the most intimate parts of who you are, then it's really important to understand whether that person's just in it for themselves or they're in it for you and they're actually trying to get to know you and they're willing to sacrifice and they're really willing to make a commitment to you. So the second tip, the second screen that you can have, and I actually have a really cool freebie this week, guys. If you go to paparazzi.com/blog, on the actual blog notes for this topic, I have a really cool freebie, and it's a journaling freebie. So I journal a lot. I try to journal every single day, and I believe that we have a lot of the answers that we're looking for within, and when we seek God, He'll reveal a lot of those things to us, but a lot of times we can't always trust what's coming out of our mouths. I mean, how many of you guys have said something and then you look back and you're like, wait, why did I say that? I don't even know what the heck is going on. So I find for me that journaling really circumvents all of that. And so actually this freebie is going to help you journal better when it comes to infatuation or love. And it is going to help you discover that answer within yourself, because as much as the advice is here and I'm ready and willing to give it, I can't personally determine if that is your situation. And I believe that you can if you just dig a little deeper. So the second screen that I want you to really be aware of when determining whether it is love or infatuation is, I call it the dream guy complex. So again, I was a loveaholic. I knew all the songs, all the movies, but on top of that, how many of you guys used to play Barbies when you were growing up? I swear, literally, I planned probably over 100 Barbie weddings, because Barbie and Ken in my life were always getting married. And I had this like perfect idea of what my Ken looked like, you know? He was a runner, of course, right, guys? He was vegan. He was this, he was that. And that was as a kid, right? So you can imagine as an adult, when I've constantly been practicing those thought processes in my mind, how it plays out as an adult who is dating and who's looking for love. And I'm pushing literally my dream Ken, my dream guy, on whoever I was with. And so I think that's one of the most destructive things that we can do when we're falling for someone or we're looking to date someone, because we don't give that person a chance to really be who they are. Instead, we kind of like put them in this box of, hey, this is my person, this is the person I've been creating for years and years and years, and I'm just going to take you and put you in that box. And a lot of times we don't even recognize that we're doing it. One of the telltale signs is how quickly we move from point A to point B, how quickly we advance a relationship. A lot of times that is a telltale sign that we have fit someone in a box, because we're comfortable with the idea of our dream person, and that has been with us and we've been mulling it over for years and years and years. And so when someone new comes into our space and we put them in that idea that we've been mulling over for years and years and years, it's easy to advance the situation because it's a situation that we've already in our mind been comfortable with. And so that is one destructive thing, because if you're doing that, then you're going to miss a lot of the red flags, a lot of the telltale signs that this person isn't for you. And then the other thing is, to be loved, to really, really be loved, is to be known. You know, to have someone intimately know you and to know your quirks and to know the bad things as well as the good things and love you for it anyway. And so when we put people in this box of this idea that we had, whether, you know, whatever parameters you have, whatever you have on your list, when you put someone in that box, we often miss out on who they actually are. And I have a quote in the blog, I don't remember the exact words, but I said, I was in love with the idea that I had created instead of being actually in love with the man. And so if you're doing that, and maybe it's something that you might not even be aware of you're doing, because for me, I wasn't aware for a long, long time. It wasn't until I actually started to really seek God and kind of ask him like, hey, show me my heart. And also through journaling, I realized a lot of these tendencies that I had that I wasn't even aware of. So it might be something that's completely new to you and that you're not aware that you're doing. But don't be so tied to that dream. Because at the end of the day, I believe that life gives us and God gives us what we need, and a lot of times you hear couples say, oh my God, he was more than I prayed for. She was more than I prayed for. And that's because you had this idea in a box, but God superseded what it was that you were praying for. He superseded your expectations. And that's awesome. So just be open. Be open and willing to learn someone for who they are and not place them into a parameter or idea that we have already. And you're going to find, even when you do that with your friendships, I think friendships is another area that we tend to put something on someone. We have this idea of what a best friend is like, or idea of what, a coworker is like, and we put all these expectations on them that are almost impossible for them to meet because all these expectations are in our minds. And it's so destructive, it's so destructive when we actually just approach situations with an open heart and say, hey, I just want to get to know you for who you are, and then figure out where that person plays in your life. You're not only going to avoid heartache, but you're going to really, really, really invest in someone and be a good listener and build a relationship that's authentic and not a relationship that's out of necessity because you need to just fill a spot in your life. So the third tip, the third screen that I will say when it comes to determining whether you have love or infatuation is when things do not go your way or the person whose way you are with. That is a telltale sign that it is not love. A lot of times people who come in our lives who are not investing, who are not looking to stay, who are out for themselves, like the first tip, they're looking for instant gratification. They're going to push back on your boundaries super hard. They're going to push back when you say, hey, I can't do this. They're going to try to convince you that, no, you're going to do this because it's in my benefit. Or, and then they're going to make you feel guilty about it. They're going to make you feel guilty about actually sticking to a boundary that you had established before you met that person. But because they're looking out for themselves, they're being selfish, they're impeding on your boundary. And that's not love, guys. I think to love someone, to truly love someone, is to respect their boundaries, to understand that those boundaries were in place before you met that person, and those boundaries actually show you how you can love that person better. That those boundaries actually help you to understand how to be a better partner, a better dating partner, a better friend. And so I think a lot of times when you get that pushback from someone, and we're naturally, no one's perfect, so maybe you get some pushback, and that's fine. But if it's a constant pushback and you're saying, hey, these are my boundaries, why are you trying to convince me of something that I've already established? Maybe even on the first date you said, hey, this is my boundary, this is what I'm not willing to do, this is where I stand on this, and they still continue to date because they said, hey, I think I can persuade this person. I think telltale sign, just run, just go, just pay the bill and leave. I'm telling you guys, save yourself some heartache because it's going to constantly be a thing. And you don't want to be with a person that's not going to respect the set boundaries that you actually put out there for yourself. And again, you don't want to feel guilty all the time. You shouldn't feel guilty for establishing a boundary. You shouldn't feel guilty for saying, hey, this is the way that I need to be loved. This is the way that I work and move in my life. And so you shouldn't feel guilty about that. And again, it's so hard. It is so hard to build deep, meaningful relationships with very selfish people. It is like, I know you guys have been there. It is incredibly hard. It is incredibly hard to really build and and work with someone who's incredibly selfish because they're just looking inward all the time. They're just looking for instant gratification. They're just looking to fulfill themselves. And that is not where deep love grows. You know, deep love is through sacrifice. Deep love is to be known. Deep love is looking at someone for who they are, you know, not who we create them to be. And so, guys, those are my tips for how you can determine whether it is love or infatuation. I actually have the full article with all the notes on my blog. And if you would like the journaling freebie, just click on the freebie link, or you can go to the blog, and I actually have it embedded in the blog for you guys to check out. But yeah, thank you so much for tuning in,